Welcome to Chiang Mai. We are riding up to the top of Thailand. We're going to the highest point of Thailand, Do In Thap, I think is what it's called. The tallest mountain in Thailand. So the end of this road here will put us there, and this is where Chiang Mai is on the map. Chiang Mai is one of the major provinces in Thailand. It's also one of the major cities in Thailand. This area is known for the beautiful mountains, and obviously you can see that a lot here. This is going to be a long riding video because it was a great ride, beautiful ride up this mountain. So I'm going to use this time to wax poetically a bit about the trip and let you know what's been going on. And I think I'll do it in this video because there's a lot of riding, and I don't think I'll have as much in my last video, which will be the last province coming up. So this province is home to the city of Chiang Mai. It's one of the major cities in Thailand. I would say there's Bangkok, obviously that's the big one. Then there's the four cities in Isan, Udon, Ubon, Karat, and Khon Kaen, which I used to live in. And then there's, I'd say Hua Hin maybe would be the other one. Those are the major cities in Thailand. And so, yeah, if you're going to do this ride, which I recommend, it was fantastic, I also recommend wear warm clothing. It was freezing. It got down to like, I think 11 degrees was what the thermometer said at the top of this mountain. And for me, that was kind of a shock to the system. I got up there and I was just shaking from the cold, and went and grabbed a bowl of hot soup, hot congee that they were selling, and felt pretty good after that. But, woo, it was cold ride this morning. So I'm nearing the finish line here. I've got one more province to go, and then I'll have that map completely colored in. So I've had some thoughts bouncing around my head, and this was a great experience. You really do get to experience Thailand in a way that, I kind of understand Thailand in a way that many Thais don't. Of course, I'll never understand it culturally and stuff like that on the same level as a Thai person, but geographically, I understand Thailand more than I think a lot of the Thais do. I've got a really good feel now for the whole country. Like, I know what areas I could see myself living in, which areas I wouldn't want to live in. Now whenever I meet a Thai person and they tell me where they're from, I can say, well, I've been there. Or I almost can. I will after the next province. I'll be able to say, oh, well, yeah, I've been there. And I've had that happen a few times when I've been out and about and talking to a Thai person. They tell me where they're from and they ask, have you heard of it? And I say, oh, yeah, I've been there. And then I'll tell them, a feature of that province that, I went and saw, and they're always kind of surprised. But yeah, the country's just so different in different areas. Isan is so different from southern Thailand, which is, heavily Muslim and has that conflict going on down there. The tropical areas like in Koh Chang and Phuket, so different from these mountainous areas up in the northwest. And then there's Bangkok, which is the most visited city in the world, I believe still. I kind of saved the best riding parts for these videos, but there's a lot of highway riding. And like, for instance, to restart this portion of the trip, I had to go from Phuket to Hua Hin. That's a full day's ride. And then, now that when I wrap up this trip, I'm gonna have to go back down to Phuket, and that's gonna be 3 days of highway riding. And the highway riding in Thailand is not fun. So would I do this again? No, but I'm glad I did it. It's been an amazing journey. Would I recommend somebody else do this? Only if you are very confident in your riding abilities and you fully understand what defensive driving is, because there were quite a few close calls. The closest call I had was leaving Chonburi. I left at like 3 in the morning thinking I would beat the traffic because the traffic was so bad going into that province. But at 3 in the morning, as I was riding down the highway, some drunk teenager with his girlfriend on back just did a U-turn just suddenly in the middle of the road and pulled out right in front of me. And if I had, and then she saw what was going to happen and she started screaming, and we just missed running into each other. If I had left a second earlier that morning, I would have T-boned that motorcycle, and it would have been a very ugly accident. But there's been a lot of close calls. There's a lot of speeders on the Thai highways. You're checking your mirrors to make sure nobody's coming up on you, but they're going so fast that, you look away from your mirrors for a second and boom, they're right up on your tail. I remember one time I looked in my rearview mirror and I saw a Lamborghini. There was like 3 of them flying down the road. They must have been doing, I'm going to guess 160 kilometers an hour. They were flying. They came right up on my rear wheel. And, this isn't a high horsepower motorcycle. So it took me a while to get out of their way. But, there was a lot of close calls like that. There's just a lot of speeding on the Thai highways. They'll pass you and they'll, come within inches of you when they're passing. So, yeah, I would only recommend this if you feel very comfortable on a motorcycle and if you understand what defensive driving is. Driving in the mountains like this and then driving through those country roads, well, that's a relaxing, enjoyable experience. I could do that all day long. But unfortunately, a lot of this trip involved some lengthy highway riding. And when you're defensive driving, you're constantly thinking about what's the worst thing that could happen here. So you're processing stuff all day long on the highways. Is this truck going to swerve into me? Does this guy see me? Is that motorbike going to pop out? Is that dog going to run into the road? It can get tiring when you're doing that for hours. So yeah, just be aware if you're thinking about doing a trip like this, there is a lot of highway riding involved, and the highways in Thailand are not fun. And also, I've had a little bit of a mechanical issue. This bike has been great, except for some reason, my chain keeps coming loose. Now, that wouldn't be a huge problem, but what happens is it pops off onto the inside of the rear sprocket instead of the outside. If it popped out onto the outside, it would just hang there while the wheel rotated freely, but it pops out into the inside, and then it binds up the wheel, locks it up. So fortunately, it's only happened at low speed, but because it's happened a couple of times, I've been real paranoid about it. It adds to the stress of being on that highway thinking, geez, what if I hit a bump? And it always happens when I hit a bump. What happens if I hit a bump and that chain flies off into the inner sprocket and locks up the wheel going, 80 to 90 kilometers an hour. So I had been going about 100 kilometers an hour on these highways. I just felt comfortable. It was a nice speed to go, got you through it quickly. But lately I've toned that down to 80 just because I was so paranoid about that chain. And it started coming off in Phuket, and I took it to a shop. They tightened it up. I thought the issue was done, but then it started getting loose on this trip here to the northwest, and the last time it came off was in Nakhon Sawan, and it was like 5 in the morning, and unfortunately there was some old dude like hanging out in front of his shop cooking. I guess he's like a street food vendor, but I saw he had a bunch of tools there, so I kind of showed him my problem, and it turns out he spoke pretty good English, so he was able to help me out, tighten the chain up, and I thought that was the end of it, but a couple of days later, boom, it was loose again. So I preemptively pulled out the toolkit that comes with the bike, loosened up the rear wheel, tightened it up again, and it was good for a while now, but it looks like it's loose again. So it looks like I got to tighten it up again and then drive slow all the way back to Phuket, which is going to be a 3-day journey on the highways. But anyway, enough belly aching. Those were the issues and concerns that I've had and things that you might need to think about it if you're watching these videos in the future and thinking about a trip like this on your own. I just want you to have all the information that you would need. But other than that, this has been a fantastic experience. I mean, when I've been at work, I often just daydream about being back out here on the roads, especially those, mountain roads like this and those country roads. It's been a great experience. It's been a lot of fun. I've done a few adventures like this in my life. I know some of you watching this that know me know I did the Appalachian Trail back in 2002. About 5 years ago, I rode a motorbike from Hanoi to Saigon in Vietnam. Another great experience. And 2 years ago, I hiked the Florida Trail. And so this is my most recent adventure. And yeah, it's weird when they're always bittersweet at the end, because at the end you're kind of like, okay, I'm ready for it to be over. But then when you realize, oh, this is going to be over, you start feeling a little bittersweet about it. And also doing these YouTube videos, it can be a little bit of a chore. I mean, I kept my videos simple because I never expected, this channel to actually go anywhere or do anything. It was never my intention. This was more just to document this journey, and also to, people back home, to kind of a way to keep in touch, because I'm terrible with keeping in touch with people with, email and phone and text messages. So this was kind of a way to let people know what I've been up to overseas. So yeah, I've kept these videos short, just doing a little bit of riding, maybe one site. I'm not showing you all the local cuisine and 5 different features because I just don't have that time. I've got a job. YouTube's not my job. And I'm not so sure I wish it was. This is a lot of work doing these videos. So all these guys that do a lot of editing and all that, they're earning their pay, that are making a living off of YouTube, because I can tell you this is not easy, and it sometimes feels like a chore. It feels like, oh, I got homework to do or something. So but when I'm actually editing it, like right now, I kind of enjoy it. Okay, enough rambling from me. We are at the top of the mountain, and we're gonna find a place to park and hit the highest point in Thailand. And before we pop in there to the highest point, I'll just let you know it's a very short segment because it was flooded with tourists. So there was a long queue for people to take their selfies and take their group photos and things like that. So basically I just jumped in there in between 2 groups, stepped on the highest point and stepped off, and then took a little video of the sign and the surrounding area. But it was so overgrown, and you can see it here. It's just overgrown with trees and vegetation that I was expecting like this massive expansive view, but there wasn't any. There was a view of the trees. But anyway, we'll take a look at the sign and also what it looked like from that point. So that was the highest point in Thailand, and the road from this mountain to the next province, Mae Hong Son, this was some of the best riding that I've done. It was really twisty. This is the only time that I wish that I had a sport bike. This bike's been great. It's been a lot of fun, but it is a heavy bike. It's a big bike. It's a heavy bike. And it would have been nice to have something lightweight to throw around these twisties, because these were the twistiest of twisties that I've ridden in Thailand. So I think I'm done rambling on in this video. I'll just let you enjoy the riding on this very curvy road. It's a lot of fun. Well, it was a lot of fun until I got stuck behind this guy, the milk truck. Got stuck behind the milkman, but as you can see, there's really no room to pass, and this was a very thin road, so I didn't want to do anything stupid and try passing this guy and have somebody come at me from a blind curve. So I got stuck behind this guy for a bit, so I guess this is a good place as any to end this video. And we'll look at the progress map. As you can see, I thought about passing him there, but better not. But let's take a look at that final progress map with one more province to go.